Ladies and gentlemen, we have the exact same series layout here. We have Recharge, Strongholds, Bazaar, Slayer, Aquarius, Flag, Streets, Ball, and then you're going to break it off with a Game 5 Live Fire Slayer if we can get there. Like I said, the first time around, Streets Oddball went to Quadrant in a 2-1 fashion. It's game 1 of this series. Will Quadrant, off of Streets Strongholds game win of their last series, be able to replicate some kind of performance, get off to a hot start for the first time? We'll find out shortly.
Well, Lottie said before we transitioned, they've been picking up the pieces, Quadrant, all through this lower bracket run. Well, the team that broke those pieces were Flying Dutchman. We're going to see what they're made of. A ticket for KC, up for grabs. We're on their way with the man of the moment, TchiK.
The man of the tournament so far for Quadrant, starting it off with an assist, but it is Quadrant that get the early kills, get the ball in hand, and TchiK doing a phenomenal job so far to lay down some damage with that.
One player who struggled all tournament long. Fragxr has had a slow weekend by his high standards. Wes, you have not been impressed.
Not been impressed by the stats, and most importantly, not been impressed by the gameplay when we have been on Fragxr's screen. A lot of kills getting away from him that he needs to secure for Quadrant to be able to have a little bit more success to push their team to that elimination bracket finals. But to get there, it's going to take a lot of work, and unfortunately, Fragxr not showing us much with that life.
He goes down then. 3 dead momentarily for Quadrant. And now we're seeing a bit of a setup here for Flying Dutchman. They've got the ball back tower. And Quadrant have it all to do now to break this setup. Shad opens up the possibility with a lovely double kill. Former teammate of Flying Dutchman. Last man alive is going to be Mysta, the man that replaced him.
A bit of an overstep from MOSE there as he loses that Bulldog. And like that, Quadrant break that quick setup from the Flying Dutchman. They start to accumulate a little bit of ball time of their own. Shad with a much important responsibility here to try and deny the shotgun push. And it looks like that's exactly where Flying Dutchman plan on pushing from.
And here comes the push. Descending down on the ball carrier. Ball played out bottom middle. Fragxr picks up 1. How he's going to need to have a series. What came before does not matter. The series can be 1-1 over the course of this tournament. But as long as Quadrant win it here, everybody will forget what happened in pool play.
Absolutely. But a team that doesn't forget about pool play up until this point is Flying Dutchman, right? That allows them to play with so much confidence. Having played the same team multiple times in the same tournament, when you win that first series, your confidence playing that same team later on in that tournament is sky high. Look for Flying Dutchman to be confident early in this series. Right now, it does look like Quadrant have gotten off to a fairly good start. Rockets in the hand of SLG and an opportunity to extend this lead.
Mysta backs him down in the tires, though unable to use those rockets just yet. A lovely trade of kills goes back and forth. 3 dead momentarily for Flying Dutchman, and that will mean a setup here for the boys on Quadrant. Rockets picked up still, yet to have used that final one. The chamber does finally lock it into Snakey as he tries to make his way towards B. Stairs, 2 dead once more. Quadrant starting to look much better.
Quadrant looking very good. This is the Quadrant of old that I hoped I would see coming into this weekend. I haven't seen the best form. I haven't even seen their B team form as of yet, but this could be the showcase they needed, and just in time to get to Kansas City.
Quadrant looking to show the form that they showed in pool play was a blip, a mistake, a once-off. Looking to answer back here and now. The critics no doubt will come. Sentinel beam in the hands of MOSE. What can he do with it to fry the shields? Not much as TchiK takes him down with a well-placed frag grenade. Kill goes in favor of Mysta, who locks in a double kill. Eyes up Fragxr once more. Should lock it in, and does. A triple kill for Mysta.
Big kills by Mysta to get his team right back in this, and all the meanwhile, the ball being held by Flying Dutchman has made up all the difference here in the score early in round 1. And just as we continued to praise Quadrant's hot start, it looks like it's immediately removed from the Flying Dutchman so far.
That lead that they amassed completely evaporated. And now we're going to see Flying Dutchman take the lead. A slender one at that, but it's in place. Fragxr down towards garbage. 2 kills go in favor of Quadrant, but Mysta answers back and locks in. A killing spree is shut down finally, but he's done quite enough damage with that one single life to claw his team right back into things.
Such a highly contested first round of our series, and the last time these two teams played, like we said, it went to Game 5. Wouldn't be shocked if this stays up. The momentum from both sides can push this to a Game 5. Rockets should be in control of Quadrant shortly as this Bulldog shotgun in the hands of SLG, but a beautiful grenade is going to transfer those rockets into Clonely's hands.
Those rockets slip out of his fingers, though, as he did pick them up. Frag grenade placed into tires. Fragger's going to pick them up, but he's been beat down before he can fire a single one. Rockets transfer hands once more. Down in tires. Who's going to get their hands on them?
They appear to be cursed for now. The battle for rockets ensues. Looks like Clonely wasn't even able to get a kill with that one, and Quadrant may have just found the opening they need to rack up some ball time here, and look at that. Jersey just 10 points away.
Can they break this setup then? Or round one will be secured for Quadrant. Only requiring 5 now in the perfect place to play that ball if he needs to. They will not get close to him. He will secure round one. Quadrant with a slender lead.
I mean, we were just watching that battle for rockets go down. They're transferring hands after hands, side after side. And in the meantime, TchiK racking up that ball time. It was almost unnoticed at the time, but 40 points unanswered there at the end gave Quadrant that early lead here, 1-0.
Quadrant then, one step away, one round away from taking a 1-0 lead. They lost this game last time they met in pool play. How they would love to answer the critics here and now.
One of the big players for me to watch this weekend is the pickup of Shad and how he fits into this Quadrant team. I've heard nothing but success stories from Quadrant since that pickup, but I've seen nothing that has shown me those happenings throughout this weekend. They've only been upset, only been playing at average at best. But Shad having a great round one off a hot start into round two. We'll see what Snakey has to say about it from the Flying Dutchman side.
It's fair to say, in an interview I done for DreamHack, I pointed out that Quadrant have been playing very, very well, and they had a chance to topple Ascend. With the form that we have seen all tournament long, they're a shadow of themselves thus far, and how they would love to do it here and now and shut up all the critics that have been criticizing them all tournament long. The likes of Fragxr wants to bounce back here, but in round two, he has no kills.
What's important is they still have that opportunity to do so, but in order to do so, you obviously want to end the day on a high note, especially being in the elimination bracket. You have to win this series in order to get revenge and an opportunity to create those upsets that we've been talking about coming into the weekend. What can the Flying Dutchman do about it? Clonely finds a double, finds the oddball, gets his team right back into this round, but who from Flying Dutchman is going to step up, get their team right back into this? Because so far throughout this tournament, we've seen highlights from the individuals on this team. It's going to take those highlights to continue to push them to those limits.
Snakey then, what can the Englishman do? TchiK desperately trying to rotate that ball away from him towards Arcade. Has managed to scamper away into PD. You won't find Chief Wiggum there, but you will find safety and some more ball time for yourself. 30 seconds now and counting as Flying Dutchman have to break this setup once more, but they've lost a player in the meantime, and SLG locks in a double kill, and rockets go towards Quadrant. Back tower is his sights, and he secures the kill, does Fragxr.
Great job by Fragxr to bring those rockets right back to where they had the ball set up. He's able to keep his ball carrier alive, and oh no, Jersey, we're seeing a player missing from the lobby. It looked like it was a Quadrant setup that could have gone for a much longer distance, but we're going to call this one for now, as we're going to have a remake here. Technical errors will cause this to happen, and it may just be the blessing the Flying Dutchman need.
This might be the reset. This gives us the opportunity to break down what we did see.
These guys, although some of them have some experience, others don't, and you cannot have that composure for somebody. It's got to be a full team composure throughout this series. It's going to get the job done for Flying Dutchman. We'll see how composed they are. We're jumping back into gameplay now, and already you're seeing Quadrant continue their dominance in the power weapon story being put to use from SLG's hands.
Who will buckle under that pressure then? SLG picks up the ball, scoops it up, rotates it back tower. One rocket left to play for now. It looks as though TchiK has picked it up, but he's been dealt with by Clonely. That's going to be one rocket and control of the ball now over the Flying Dutchman. That reset ever so slightly now favoring Flying Dutchman, because they look dead and buried in round two.
Yeah, keep in mind, 75 points is all Quadrant need in round two to end this game. It's going to be 100 points required from Flying Dutchman to push this to a round three. You would have seen Quadrant get off to an early setup, but PD spawns for Flying Dutchman unsuspected by Quadrant, ruined their first opportunity to set up. It does look like ever since then they've gotten the size they need on the back of TchiK. Starting this one off hot with 4 of his own. Has got that ball in hand, but actually decides to slay as a teammate takes it from him.
It's an interesting thing that we were after seeing. Fragxr, we talked about, had a slow tournament thus far by his standards. TchiK, who has been playing lights out, drops the ball off to his teammate. They're recognizing that perhaps TchiK is the X factor here. He's got the Bulldog. He can be the difference maker as he shuts one down but gets answered and shut out.
A beautiful drop shot with that Bulldog. Not often do you see that combination paired with the Bulldog battle rifle, but that was a perfect use from TchiK, and because of it, he awards himself with a quick kill, distraction on the second, and Quadrant continue to build their lead.
Shad firing against his old teammates. He knows the strats. He's been in that camp before. Can he pass over any valuable information that he might have? Any executions that he can maybe lend and share to his teammates of what to expect here? 37 seconds to 7 in favor of Quadrant. Early engagement's going their way, and again, they only need 75.
Yeah, this is actually a great play from Fragxr, actually. Being able to stay alive for that long as he was the last guy alive back tower there, and even takes one with him before he goes. A much better performance out of Fragxr will be all the difference Quadrant need to be able to win this series.
Was one man standing for Flying Dutchman momentarily. It was the Spaniard Clonely.
Oh.
Where's he gotten away to? MOSE almost got outshot there as TchiK backed up and looked for that fadeaway BR shot, but MOSE shuts him down and answers that call. A ball now in the hands of Flying Dutchman, and MOSE picks up a double kill. He wants to go to KC.
Yeah, MOSE is one of those players that has made a name for himself with his individual talent in the EU scene over time, and he's already got 8 to his name. Playing at a very high level this weekend. It would be a damn shame to see him go home early.
TchiK, though, been a difference maker all weekend. Has the rockets in his hands, opted to spin around and face that guy who was putting some pressure on him, and ultimately paid the price with his life. 4 dead momentarily, but no ball pickup here. Nobody scoring points.
Yeah, you want to see Flying Dutchman try and get to that ball. Actually, Fragxr able to play his life around this Flowers area to stay alive. What kind of impact can he have now that he stayed alive? He wins a huge one-on-one against MOSE, and Fragxr already stepping up here in this second round, giving his team so much life, and because of it, they now have a 9-point lead.
This is the Fragxr we know and love. He's come to play now. Shad picks up one. Fragxr another. Mysta the latest one to join the respawn screen. The Spaniard Clonely going to join them too. MOSE last man standing over towards Pizza has to stay alive now and wait for his teammates to spawn back up, but he's not interested in doing that, and Fragxr makes him pay.
Fragxr showing you he's got what it takes to play at the world stage, showing you that he wants this team to go there, that he will individually take accountability, and just like that, adds another one to his tally. 8 kills for Fragxr, and this is a much different Fragxr than we've seen all weekend long, and this bodes well for their future, not only in this series, but in this tournament if he can consistently play at this level.
Fragxr doing his best at giving these the goodnight kiss, the kiss of death, and game 1 goes towards Quadrant. They got the 75 seconds that they required. A very good performance from them. Flying Dutchman, though, they're showing signs of life.
Yeah, you got to shut down when Fragxr starts to pick it up there, and the highlight that we saw, him being able to play his life, win his one-on-ones there. I mean, what that does for Quadrant, it gives him so much space, so much more opportunity for the rest of the boys in green here as they continue throughout this series. And I love the fact that he's starting to heat up, because we just started to give him slack, right? We're just starting to call him out individually. What do you do when you get called out? How do you respond, Fragxr? Fragxr responds with a very strong performance in game 1, and that's the thing I love to see the most.
Criticism, as all it's done is light a fire in him and give him the motivation that he possibly needed. That sparked that comeback, that performance out of him, and that's exactly what the doctor ordered here. Looking at the highlights, it was a one-man show at times. Fragxr really showed up there in that final round.
Yeah, and it's not even like he has to go absolutely ballistic, or we're asking him to carry this team or anything. Do your part, play your role, and this team will have a lot of success, because we've seen the highlights that TchiK is able to offer. SLG, although inconsistent at times when he's on, one of the best individual players we have in this tournament. And Shad, he's been lights out too at times, but needs to also find some consistency. So if Fragxr and Shad pick it up like they did there in that game 1, I love the opportunity that Quadrant have. We talked about the scrim results from Quadrant recently and how strong they've looked, even against the likes of Navi. We wondered all weekend long, where in the hell is this Quadrant roster? Where are these guys that we know can play at this level? They're answering that question, and what a better time to do it here than the elimination semifinals.
We posed the question, can the real Quadrant please stand up?
Please.
And they've stood up, they've raised their hand, and look, they show their chest and show they're ready for war. They're applying war paint as we speak, and they're going to need it here. Slayer Bazaar is game 2.
Slayer Bazaar is game 2, and this actually went in the hands of Quadrant 50-40 the first time around in pool play. So wouldn't it be something special to jump out to a 2-0 lead, to really gain some momentum, some traction, and to put the Flying Dutchman on their very back heals to push their back completely against the wall. You have to wonder what that kind of pressure is going to do to the Dutchman. So I'm looking at the Flying Dutchman here to have a strong start, because if they don't, Bazaar Slayer can get out of hand.
Quadrant looking to turn up the heat in the kitchen. And the Flying Dutchmen don't like it. Well, they know exactly where they can go. They can go home, and Quadrant can go to KC. They're cranking it. They're applying the pressure, and a 2-0 series lead would do just that. We're back on board with TchiK. What can he do?
On the desk, they called him the Frying Dutchman when they referred to them heating up, but it might be the Frying Dutchman as they are getting fried on the server. If this keeps up from game one already, trades across the board, rockets are on the ground, but it does look like the Flying Dutchman might have the best opportunity to collect those.
Quadrant doing their best at grounding the Flying Dutchman.
Nice.
That kill from TchiK's going to help his cause. Mysta hits the respawn screen, tried to get away and evade the attentions and keep a hold of those rockets for his team. Unable to do so, but no harm, no foul. SLG's located them. 6 kills to 5 now in favor of Flying Dutchman.
What can SLG do with these rockets? So often you see poor positioning in this bottom shotgun area when the rockets are secured. Look at this, the Brute Grenades are coming through. They're doing so much damage and they take him down. Unfortunately, the rockets not creating that power curve because of the positioning that we saw from SLG there.
SLG forced low into sewers, trying to play defense, trying to stay alive, stay up was his only point to cause there, but unable to do so. Those spike grenades got the damage done. TchiK now looking to extend their lead. Unfortunately for him, he finds them down by 1 kill, but the way this game type shakes out, it could snowball at any moment, and the next overshield is going to be very, very important.
Flying Dutchman doing such a good job to actually have a lead somehow after losing the battle for rockets, not getting the shotgun control. Getting TchiK out of the bar is a massive job by them to create some control and some pressure onto the members of Quadrant. Multiple members in a brawl bottom middle as well, and it looks like the Flying Dutchmen are able to trade out successfully enough to keep that 1 kill lead.
Shad then over towards the enemy lockers. What can he do to open the door and open some lanes for his team? As his attention's over towards Bar, not looking to get tricky here, not trying to get clever, holding this position for his team and allow them to do the damage that is required. TchiK picks up 1 onto Snakey. That's going to leave them down numbers here, and the overshield's going to go in the chest of SLG, and 2 sizzle sticks will get the job done to fry them overshields completely off the chest of SLG, but the damage has been done. It's a 3-kill lead now for Quadrant.
Yeah, you wanted to see Flying Dutchman try to compete for that overshield a little bit better, but unfortunately just didn't have the angles, didn't have the presence on the map in order to do so, and because of it, they lose another power weapon / power up in that overshield control, and just like that, Quadrant right back in the driver's seat of game 2.
Shad looking to evict MOSE, who had just rented the bar, but he was the landlord coming to clear it out. Forces MOSE down into the sewers, scamper away. And with the damage compiled with his teammate SLG, they make sure they put a +1 in the category of their slays. But this distance couldn't be any closer. It's 17-16, 1 kill game.
One of the big questions was who's going to step up for Flying Dutchman, already with 8 kills of his own. Clonely might just be the guy for the team to do so, but unfortunately 7 deaths is a lot. You want to slow that game down for him, or everyone else on the Flying Dutchman has to have a higher impact in order to try and keep him alive, and unfortunately it looked like Quadrant were able to secure that second set of rockets, but a big kill from Clonely gets those rockets not only out of Quadrant's hands, but into his own.
Clonely appearing to play a different pace than his team, and you can see that, but that slight overextension, and perhaps he's gifted the rockets over the Quadrant here.
Unnecessary, just slow it down once you get those rockets right. You can control the pace of the game with those weapons. Unfortunately, Clonely trying to play a little bit too fast, forces an unnecessary death, and now look at the damage that is done with these rockets. TchiK finds one of his own. Fortunately though, Clonely in the kill feed with 2 to trade it out.
If we're in a game of Slayer in matchmaking, and you're on my team and you have double my deaths, you know that you're playing faster than you possibly need to, or perhaps I'm playing too slow, but something needs to happen. You need to synchronize with your team if you're going to have any chance of beating this Quadrant team.
Yeah, they need to figure out a way to get on the same page, and that takes that leadership skill, that quality that I wonder if Flying Dutchmen have. In game 1, it was clear that maybe they didn't quite have that vocal leader to step up and get everyone on board. Unfortunately, the pace now being set by Quadrant may be too much for that to take place in game 2, or it may be too late if it does, because a 6-kill lead could get out of hand very quickly.
on board with the veteran SLG. Let's talk about the emergence as well of TchiK, and perhaps his emergence onto the scene, performing out of his skin, has almost relieved the pressure of SLG, who had to play main slayer at times, had to play in-game leader at times, but now TchiK is standing up to the mantle, and these two players are working well in tandem.
Every time I watch TchiK play, he impresses me. Every time. I think TchiK might actually be my favorite player in the European scene from what I've seen from him. He's so consistent, playing at a high level. His decision-making is always on point. His slang's on point. He's got 11, make it 12. Actually, just 10 of his own. Sorry, that was Clonely picking up that one. But, I mean, TchiK, just such a huge present for this Quadrant. What a pickup for this roster he was.
And whilst we've been jabbering, speaking and talking gibberish, that lead has been extended. 35 kills to 26. Flying Dutchman are on the ropes here in game 2.
TchiK picks up another one, extends the lead back to 9. His kills are traded across the map, but look at just how fast he's playing. Allows Shad to pick up that easy kill. It's a killing spree for Shad as well. So all of the damage, all of the resources being in Quadrant's hands has extended this lead. And I mean, if you aren't able to get Overshield's rockets, the Bulldog in your hands and put them to use, this is how the games get out of hand.
Can Flying Dutchman get it right back in hand? MOSE has the Bulldog, and that could perhaps make inroads for his team. Mysta picks up one. That's going to open up the map now. Overshield, though, and rockets about to pop at the exact same time. Flying Dutchman need these.
This is the moment for Flying Dutchman. Can they find the kills to secure some of the power coming up here in the next couple seconds? They do find the first pick. They find the second as well. So this could be it, ladies and gentlemen. MOSE finds those rockets. Mysta gets the overshield. Unfortunately, the first rocket doesn't find home, and some of that power already diminished without any results.
Uncle Ben said it best. With great power comes great responsibility. They've got all the power in their hands, at their disposal, at their fingertips, but can they utilize it now? Mysta up the clear out bar. Nobody's home this time. They know exactly Quadrant. They're clever. They're trying to evade the attentions of all members of the team. A trade comes through. Snakey picks up one, but trades out with TchiK. And we're seeing 35 to 44. Quadrant requires 6.
They got the power, but just weren't able to turn it into production. Now still down 9 kills, and all Quadrant need are 6 kills to close the door on game 2 and to find themselves up with a very significant, comfortable lead in this series.
We spoke about deaths. We spoke about Clonely. He's now at 15. He's eaten into his own team members' deaths now. 12 is your allotted. He's at 15. 3 over the mark. He needs to slow this down. He cannot afford to give away any more needless kills because Quadrant only require 5. Flying Dutchman desperately need to get a handle on this.
I like this play by him to stay alive, drop bottom shotgun, but you give up your positioning, you give up opportunity and angles, and it almost screws your teammates because now the rocket push, it's a successful one from Quadrant. 3 dead for Flying Dutchman, and it's going to be 2 kills needed to end this game.
Make it 1 now to lock in a 2-0 series lead. Snakey makes sure he's not going to be the first, but Mysta can't do the same. Quadrant win game 2. They're 1 game away from Kansas City qualification.
Something we talked about during that game, and I love how you worded it. It was Clonely was dying so much throughout that game. We kept pointing out his high number of deaths. Well, on his team was MOSE. MOSE ends that game with 8 deaths.
Yep.
The difference is clear in the different play styles of the two. It's clear in the different impact that they're having in the game. And I've had teammates like that. I team with Cloud, and Cloud would impressively die so little in games. I'd be like, I'd look at him and I go, I need you to try and impact the game a little bit more. I'm not saying MOSE may have been playing wrong, but you can tell the clear dysfunction from the Dutchman there in that game too, and the difference in those stats. I mean, 8 deaths and 16 deaths. You can tell they're playing at 2 completely different paces, and 2 are having 2 completely different impacts on all of the team fights that are going down, and because of it, you're seeing such a different score in the actual total score of that 50-39 victory for Quadrant.
A player we highlighted before the game, Mysta. He performed well in that Slayer. He actually one of the only players to go even across the board for his team, but unfortunately for him, like you say, this team are not playing at the same pace, and when it's a series with this high of stakes, that can't happen against a caliber team of Quadrant.
Now they got to get on the same page, and they have 1 game to do that in this series. That game 3, we saw and we've noted that this series went the distance in pool play, but we are seeing a completely different Quadrant than we've seen all weekend. We are seeing the best of Quadrant, and at the most important time, we are seeing the worst of the Flying Dutchman at the worst time for them not to show up.
Quadrant stumbled through pools. They limped through the elimination bracket, but now they find themselves one win away from Kansas City, and they've got 3 attempts of securing that one game. It could happen here, it could happen in a couple of games, but they have the insurance policy. They know that the pressure now lies on Flying Dutchman to perform.
If there was any pressure felt from Quadrant coming into this series, it's been pretty much relieved, right? You can't necessarily let off the gas pedal, but you are in cruise control in a sense. You're in 5th gear.
Yep.
Just stay in 5th gear and you'll be good to go. On the side of Flying Dutchman, if there was pressure felt at the start of the series, it's only multiplied at this point. I mean, you are backs against the wall, do or die from here on out. On the bright side, though, Strongholds Recharge was a game significantly won in their favor the first time around in pool play. Nothing has been the same, similar to pool play in this series as of yet, but 250 to 119 is how this one went in the hands of Flying Dutchman. So if you're able to win Game 3, that can give you the spark you need to push this series the distance.
Did the pool play result give Quadrant the wake-up call they needed? That they had to perform better this time around? Was that just a taster of things to come for Flying Dutchman? Can they finally get a hold of this Quadrant team, rein them back in, slow them down? We're going to find out here and now on board with TchiK.
Who better to start off with than the best player so far throughout this tournament for this Quadrant roster? I'd say TchiK is probably the most consistent player as he consistently tries to go for that power-up. Unfortunately, doesn't actually activate that power-up, and that could be a big mistake because Clonely was able to take him down and now secured that one of his own.
Clonely desperately tried to get away, but Shad had those camo eyes and ensured that was not going to be reality for his teammate. Shad also gets shut down. Now Fragxr picks up one in the feed. That's going to be on to MOSE. TchiK picks up C for his team. B and C now in control for Quadrant. The start of this game has not gone the way of Flying Dutchman, and that's not exactly what they need right now.
B and C are controlled, but the map control typically in the hands of Flying Dutchman right now. They're able to play with a lot more space than Quadrant, so it'll be interesting to see how Quadrant kind of creates some space now that they have B and C controlled. Fortunately for them, Flying Dutchman will not be able to hop into B for free. They need to get a couple of kills, and just like that, they get a few kills to their name, and they control B as well. They transfer that over in their hands. They start to score points.
Opening pick was onto SLG. Then they found Fragxr, and most recently picked up Shad. 3 kills gone down in staggered spots on the map, staggered times. That's going to mean all throughout that last 15 seconds or so, we've seen Quadrant not at a full complement of players, and they can't make a coordinated push. And as a result of that, B and C now in control of Flying Dutchman, but Quadrant looking to change things over on B, and they've successfully done that.
Yep, B gets transferred over, and an A-B setup now for the members of Quadrant. TchiK in this excellent power position, top catwalk, able to lay down so much damage. He's actually going to try and push the trip cap as he pushes all the way to back blue, takes down Snakey with him. And if you're forcing Flying Dutchman to play on their back feet, it's going to be very hard for them to play aggressive and transfer any of these strongholds in their favor.
They're on the back foot, they're on the ropes, and Quadrant looking to land that knockout punch here. Not looking to extend this series any longer, not interested in playing any more Halo tonight. B and C in their control. Clonely desperately trying to defend A, unable to do so. Camouflage in that man's chest once more. It's TchiK.
Yeah, in the meantime, TchiK has found himself this camouflage, found himself a grapple to pair with it, has a nice flank on this player in the pipes, but unfortunately, he's actually going to lose his life, and that's a great job by Flying Dutchman to just be in a good position to help each other when that camo player decides to reveal himself. And because of that, Snakey, he's able to jump into that B. Stronghold transferred over, and Flying Dutchman have gotten out of the trip cap opportunity that we would have seen Quadrant have.
The sneaky snake slithers up and gets himself a control of a stronghold. That has now meant that Flying Dutchman have A and B in their control. 70 seconds though to 17 in favor of Quadrant. It's not a monumentous task to claw it back, but it's definitely a little bit more comfortable for Quadrant than Flying Dutchman would like.
Now we're rapidly seeing Quadrant almost accumulate more points than they did the entire first time around these two teams played this map mode combination in pool play, and you can already see Quadrant playing a completely different style of Halo than we've seen so far throughout this weekend.
Quadrant, we're a wounded animal, but now they're just an angry beast as Mysta shuts down SLG, and as a result of that, will control B for his team. They're able to capture the strongholds, Wes, but they can't hold them.
Yeah, they're losing the battle of rotation so far. Quadrant's just playing better Stronghold style of gameplay so far. With these rotations, every time Flying Dutchman have been able to either go from A to C or C to A, they have lost the opposite one that they've left behind. We're seeing Quadrant use that formula to success to build up this lead, but finally, Flying Dutchman with map control and Strongholds in their favor. We'll see what they're able to do now.
Lonely looking to plant his feet, desperately trying to find the face of Shad, who's just pestering him over towards top gold. Neither one of them have a result or a conclusion to that fight. They have to back down, unfortunately, for both. We won't see the sizzling headshots that we so desperately want. MOSE goes down, as does Fragxr. Honors even. SLG picks up a camouflage. That's 3 camouflages in succession for Quadrant.
And although we haven't really seen camouflage successfully be used so far throughout this game, it's only a matter of time. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on me. Give me 6 camos, I'll make a play eventually.
SLG does have it. Not able to find the face of Cloney, and perhaps the pressure starting to get to the most experienced man on the roster. So often we see him find the faces, but not here and now. He tries to use that repulsor from the player's position behind him. Ultimately, he goes down. 3 dead for Quadrant to Flying Dutchman's 2.
Yeah, so maybe camouflage not becoming a factor as of yet. No success really being found with those camo plays, but you gotta keep worrying for Flying Dutchman. There has to be more priority on the power-ups, on the power weapons in this series if they want to stay in this one.
Flying Dutchman desperately trying to keep their tournament hopes alive. B and C in their control, closing the gap this entire time. Mysta, though, is going to be the first death. The first pick goes in favor of Quadrant. Make it 2 now. And no doubt that means control is going to flip on its head once more. B is getting transferred, and they're also interested in C.
Yeah, C getting transferred. The rotation to A is a little bit slow. No one cuts off the C players, and because of it, a big double kill from TchiK rewards that C control to be maintained. A is eventually taken by the Dutchman, but it's that rotation game that I was talking about, Jersey. Quadrant keep getting the upper hand.
SLG, bait and switch, perfect from the French, but Shad loses his life in the process to his former teammate MOSE. TchiK picks up a double kill in the feed. That's going to help their cause. 4 dead now for Flying Dutchman. 136 to 81. And SLG's not interested in that fight, Pipes. They've got man advantage.
What a good job by SLG to stay alive here. Keep numbers in his team's advantage, but more importantly, give information of where Flying Dutchman are spawning. And with this trip cap in effect, every second that it's intact is so much pressure on the Dutchman.
Will the Dutchman wilt under that pressure? Triple cap still in effect. MOSE has picked up 2. That will help the cause no end. 3 dead now, and a triple kill for MOSE, looking to claw his team right back into this.
Somebody has to step up. It may just be MOSE with that triple kill. 14 to his name already in this game. Cloney, you got to see more from him at 3 and 11, but MOSE with sword in hand has every opportunity to allow his team to get back into this one with a nice setup.
Yet again, it appears MOSE and Cloney are playing 2 different brands of Halo Infinite, but it's 4 dead for Quadrant. That opens the door for a triple cap for the first time for Flying Dutchman.
This is it. Will the Flying Dutchman make this a series? Will they push this series to a game 4? This trip cap, how long can it be held? Mysta trying to pressure C as you saw Quadrant go, but he can't secure the kill. Kills are traded back and forth. And just like this, they're about to lose A and C. An overextension from the Dutchman could cost them their tournament lives.
Both these teams appear to be doing the best job that they can to throw this game away. Unable to hold control. Again, we see control flip back over towards Flying Dutchman, and they're slowly but surely eating away at that huge lead Quadrant held only moments ago.
They got to get into A, and unfortunately, they're distracted by a VR fight from Longhold, deterred by Get in the hill, Mysta. You got to go over to A. You got to get that faster, and just like that, you're seeing Quadrant already in B, even though the Dutchman had the slays.
A wise man once said, "What are you doing?" And we're almost hearing that here and now once more. B, though, Mysta has his intentions and has his intentions set on controlling B, but TchiK's jumped in to get the reset, but it's not for long, as we're seeing that transfer once again. When they're looking at and have their attentions on C, Snakey takes down Shad, and the sword has dropped.
That's such a big kill from Snakey to deny that sword. Now, what can he do with this power weapon in hand? He needs to be able to try and press the trip cap again. Now, the lead just down to about 13 points. You're seeing Flying Dutchman right back into this one. Unfortunately, another camo in the hands of Quadrant.
Another camouflage. It's in the man of the star player all tournament long, TchiK. What can he do with it? One bank grenade off the floor, spins up, Hit Snakey in the shins. That'll be enough to get the job done. Double kill. Sword and camouflage. Almost got away, bottom tower. No, no, no. Shut down before he can get himself cooking and ahead of steam. 187 now to 166. This is an all-out brawl.
An all-out brawl, and look at the strongholds being transferred, so A and B potentially going in the hands of Dutchman. Great grenade from Mysta as he's in A, transferring that one over. And just like that, they're going to take the lead here shortly.
Flying Dutchman desperately trying to extend this series. Desperately clinging onto that plane ticket. They can ill afford to make any more slip-ups here because they'll be running out of the points, but they're very slowly and very shortly going to take the lead for the first time in the game if they can keep control for another couple of moments.
Yeah, Mysta able to get the reset here. That's big. His presence bottom elevator is felt, and I love the immediate rotation to see. And look at that, a momentary trip cap as well for the Dutchman, as it looks like all the momentum throughout this mid-game has gone in their favor to get right back into this one. Can they keep it up is the big question.
Quadrant seem to be weak at the knees. They need to catch themselves here. Mysta picks up 2 and makes sure his team holds C once more. It's 217 and counting to 187. This game has flipped on its head.
Such an interesting strategy here from Quadrant. They actually opt to push from elevator to turbine. They want B in their sights, but I prefer to push towards BR tower if I'm the individual in control of that decision. It does look like they're going to successfully be able to transfer over B. Flying Dutchman needed to somehow get across catwalking to A throughout this time, and unfortunately no one was able to do so.
2 members go down. They were managed to capture B, but at what cost? Because it means the map has completely opened up, and Desperately Cloney gets control once more. C is just a couple of pixels away from transferring control once more, but no doubt the spawns will now flip over towards A. Quadrant need to reel this in. They're in big trouble of losing game 3 here. Only requiring 10 more points, Wes.
That's a big kill from the Dutchman as well to get them out of B, get the reset, but Cloney, he has more to do here.
Cloney gets the reset. Playing B expertly. Now turns his attentions towards A. A couple of kills have gone against them though. Mysta hits the respawn screen. Snakey joins them very shortly. This is a massive, monumental 1v1, and Shad comes out on top. MOSE the last man alive. Quadrant maintain control.
239 to 210 and climbing. Quadrant with a few more kills of their own can potentially win this series. Will the Flying Dutchman be able to stay in this one? Fragxr with sword in hand, forced to stay alive and try to make a play, but the first kill in this stalemate is going to be the biggest.
246. That first kill was a trade. A and B in contention now. We're seeing B get transferred. One man in the hill trying to turn the tensions now. It's going to be Shad, the former teammate, looking to stop them getting their hands on that ticket to KC. 216 and rising, but one more mistake from Quadrant and this series will be going 2-1 and we'll be going to game 4.
MOSE isn't in a position to deny B, and not only that, he misses the jump, he gives up C as well, forced to go back for it, does get the reset. Unfortunately, pays for it with his life, and now all of a sudden this game could be moments away from going in Quadrant's hands.
3 dead for Flying Dutchman.
Oh my god.
3 dead once more, keeping them on staggered spawns. 232, a trip cap for Quadrant now. What can Flying Dutchman do? They can ill afford to make any more mistakes. They have to go here and now. It won't come. Quadrant secure their ticket. No longer Flying Dutchman. It's the sinking Dutchman. Quadrant go to KC.
Oh my god. The rotation that Quadrant had, the kills that they clutched up and secured there at the end. That battle for C was one of the most chaotic battles we've seen all weekend long, and it was the most important one for the Dutchman, and they could not come out on top. They tried so hard to continuously get the reset. They gave up so many resources to try and get it, and unfortunately, at the end of the day, they just ended up running into nades, into crossfires, and because of it, they fell into that trip cap and couldn't even get off spawn for the last 30 seconds.
It looked as though Quadrant were falling into that trap of, we have such a lead, there's no way we can throw this away. And then as time slowly closed in, we've seen Flying Dutchman take that lead and almost within 2 points of taking that final game. That would have really cranked the pressure on. That's probably one of the closest 3-0 clean sweeps you're likely to see.
I just feel for the Dutchman having so much success for what it felt like throughout this weekend, and to fall short at the finish line of their opportunity to punch their ticket to Kansas City for that top 4 position against a team that they know that they can beat, that they've proven that they can beat.